The Whirlpool Cabrio washer bearing removal and install kit is used to remove the inner and outer tub bearings that are commonly found on many high-efficiency top-load washer models. The bearing kit will come with an orange lock nut and bearing install tool, with an install shaft bolt, a tub seal installer tool, a puller bearing box, a shaft removal tap bolt, a lock plate and pin, an orange bolt spacer, a red bolt spacer, a yellow bolt nut, a long removal bolt, a green toggle bolt, a lock nut plate used for removal and installation. It is not recommended to use power tools when conducting this repair and could damage the tools within the kit. To access the tub bearing, start by taking a putty knife and release the two clips underneath the lid assembly that connect to the front panel. Before lifting the lid assembly up and out of your way, be sure to secure the lid itself to the lid assembly using a tape that does not leave any sticky residue on the customer's appliance. Another way to keep the lid closed is by using modular tool number 14, which is sold separate. Next, remove the hose going into the tub ring that is coming from the recirculation pump. Loosen the plastic tabs around the top of the tub until the tub ring can be completely removed. Next, take a flat blade screwdriver and slide it underneath the cap for the wash plate. Carefully pry the cap away from the wash plate. Next, take a 7/16 inch socket and remove the bolt from the center of the wash plate. The wash plate can then be lifted away. With the wash plate removed, the inner basket can also be lifted out of the washer cabinet and set aside. For demonstration purposes, we have laid the washer on its back and placed it up on a table. This is not a required step for finishing this repair. Next, take a 1/4 inch Allen wrench and loosen the rotor bolt until the rotor can be removed. Remove these 4 bolts from the stator plate. These bolts can be either 5/16 or 3/8. Remove the stator plate. Slide off the stator motor and remove the Molex plug and RPS sensor from the motor to completely remove the motor. Align the lock nut plate tool with the nut. Then use the orange lock nut and bearing install tool against the lock nut plate and turn it clockwise to remove the lock nut. Please note that in an extreme situation, the lock nut may not turn as easily as shown. Do not force the removal with the orange tool. Doing so could damage the orange tool. Use a pair of vice grips instead. Install the shaft removal tap bolt onto the shaft. Take a small hammer and tap on the head of the tap bolt until the shaft is free. Remove the tap bolt and pull the shaft out of the tub with the seal attached. To remove the lower tub bearing, start by sliding the red bolt spacer on the shaft of the long removal bolt. And slide the long removal bolt into the tub with the red bolt spacer end going in last. While holding the removal bolt, attach the puller bearing box against the bottom of the tub. Add the yellow bolt nut past the pinhole in the removal bolt. Then add the lock plate and pin. With the wire facing you, install the pin through the hole in the removal bolt. Using a 7/8 inch open-ended wrench, turn the yellow bolt nut counterclockwise until the box and lower bearing has been removed. To remove the yellow nut from the rest of the tool, start by sliding the red spacer towards the puller box. Use a 1/2 inch open-ended wrench near the red spacer and a 7/8 inch open-ended wrench on the yellow nut, and turn the wrench clockwise to loosen the nut, allowing you to remove it by hand. To remove the top tub bearing, add the orange bolt spacer and green toggle bolt to the removal bolt as shown. Insert the removal bolt from the bottom as shown and push the bolt into the tub from underneath, green toggle first. Remove the green toggle from inside the tub while holding on to the removal bolt to prevent the bolt from falling out. Take the puller bearing box and thread the box onto the shaft until it's against the tub. Thread the yellow bolt nut past the pinhole on the removal bolt. Then add the lock plate and pin. With the wire facing you, install the pin through the hole in the removal bolt. Using a 1/2 inch open-ended wrench, turn the yellow bolt nut counterclockwise until the box and top bearing has been removed. To remove the yellow nut from the rest of the tool, start by sliding the orange spacer towards the puller box. Use a 1/2 inch open-ended wrench near the orange spacer and a 7/8 inch open-ended wrench on the yellow nut, and turn the wrench clockwise to loosen the nut, allowing you to remove it by hand. The typical tub bearing replacement kit will come with a new shaft, 2 new tub bearings, a spacer tube, a tub seal, a tube of grease, a tube of high temp adhesive, a lock nut, and a washer for the bottom bearing. To install the replacement top tub bearing, start by sliding the new bearing onto the new shaft. Apply grease to the outer rail of the bearing and place the shaft inside the tub. From the bottom of the tub, slide the spacer tube over the shaft, followed by the bottom bearing washer and the bottom bearing itself. Prior to installing the bearing, apply grease to the outer rail. With the bearing and housing lined up, use the orange locknut and bearing install tool over the shaft. Insert the install shaft bolt into the orange bearing install tool by hand. Then take a 1/2 inch socket wrench and tighten the install bolt slowly. As you are tightening the bolt, the orange installer tool will pull bearings into the housing. All components are pulling together at the same time. With the bearings installed, unthread the install shaft bolts and remove the orange bearing tool. Next, the locknut has to be installed over the bottom bearing. Please note that one side of the locknut is smoother than the other. The smoother side of the locknut needs to be facing the tub when installing the locknut. Start by sliding the locknut over the shaft. Then follow with the locknut plate tool. Slide the orange bearing install tool over the shaft against the lock plate tool and turn it counterclockwise to tighten the locknut into place. With both bearings installed, go ahead and reinstall the components underneath the tub. Finally, the new tub seal needs to be installed. Start by adding some grease to the tub seal and slide the tub seal onto the shaft. Apply the high temp glue to where the tub seal and tub meet. Slide the tub seal installer onto the shaft and lightly tap the top of the tool to install the seal. Reinstall the remaining components and test the operation of the washer to finish the repair. Thank you for taking the time to view this video demonstration. If you have any questions or interest in purchasing this tool, please go to our website at fredsappliance.com.